For many, the mention of Israel conjures images of ancient lands, deep-seated conflicts, and perhaps a constant struggle for peace. It is a nation frequently at the heart of global geopolitical discussions, often perceived as a source of contention rather than cohesion. Yet beneath this very modern and often turbulent reality lies an incredibly ancient and profound promise, a destiny far grander and more influential than most can possibly imagine. From the very dawn of its existence, stretching back thousands of years to the patriarch Abraham, Israel was chosen for a unique and pivotal role. The ancient promises, sealed through divine covenants, speak not just of a people but of a spiritual lineage designed to bless all the families of the earth. These unseen characters, the immutable vows of a loving Creator, have whispered through the millennia, outlining a future where this small nation becomes a beacon, a moral compass for humanity. It is a narrative woven with threads of divine faithfulness, foretelling a time when Israel would not merely exist, but would lead, guiding nations into an unprecedented era of understanding and spiritual light. However, the path to such a monumental destiny has been anything but smooth. The world's skepticism, an enduring antagonist throughout history, has frequently met Israel with doubt, suspicion, and outright hostility. From ancient empires seeking to erase its memory to modern voices questioning its very right to exist, humanity has often viewed Israel through a lens of fear or indifference, a stark contrast to the glorious future envisioned in prophecy. This deep-seated opposition is not merely political. It often taps into a spiritual resistance against the very idea of a chosen people, a nation uniquely positioned in a divine plan. Centuries of persecution, exile, and betrayal have etched a painful history into the narrative of Israel, obscuring its profound purpose in the eyes of many. Yet through every trial, through every act of human cruelty, an unwavering divine love has persisted, a steadfast devotion that refuses to abandon its ancient promises. This love is not blind. It acknowledges the imperfections and struggles, yet it continues to nurture, to protect, and to guide, always hinting at a future redemption that transcends all present suffering. This brings us to one of the most compelling enigmas of our time. How could a nation so often isolated, so frequently misunderstood, and so constantly embattled, possibly rise to a position of global leadership? Why would the world, steeped in its skepticism and historical animosity, eventually choose to follow Israel? This is the profound mystery we aim to unravel today, the surprising, even shocking shift in global allegiance that biblical prophecy declares is not only possible, but inevitable. The scriptures, which have chronicled Israel's journey from its inception, offer more than just a vague hope. They provide specific insights into the mechanism by which this incredible transformation will occur. They speak of a moment, a profound divine intervention that will shatter existing paradigms and force all nations to confront a truth they can no longer ignore. Imagine a future where kings and commoners alike turn their gaze towards this land, seeking not conflict resolution, but spiritual wisdom. Consider the words found in the book of Zechariah, chapter 8, verse 23. It declares, "Thus says the Lord of hosts, in those days 10 men from every language of the nations shall grasp the corner of the garment of a Jew, saying, 'Let us go with you, for we have heard that God is with you.'" This is not a request born of military might or economic dominance. It is a desperate plea, a recognition of something far greater. This verse paints a vivid picture of nations, once resistant or indifferent, actively seeking out the people of Israel, acknowledging their unique connection to the divine. It challenges every present assumption about Israel's role on the world stage, hinting at a dramatic shift from global skepticism to global submission, all rooted in the undeniable presence of the Almighty. The mechanism, it suggests, is not political maneuvering, but a spiritual revelation so undeniable that it compels the nations to follow. It's a transformation far beyond human planning, set to unfold in the final days. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. This journey into prophecy is just beginning. As we look at the world stage today, we see the escalating global tensions predicted long ago by the ancient voices of the past. Geopolitical shifts are no longer just entries in news cycles. They are the grinding gears of a prophecy in motion. The world's skepticism is reaching a fever pitch as nations scramble for resources, power, and a sense of security that seems increasingly fragile. In this atmosphere of rising conflict, the focus of the entire planet turns, almost magnetically, back to that small strip of land. It is as if the universe itself is narrowing its gaze, forcing humanity to confront the reality that human diplomacy and secular wisdom are failing to provide the peace they once promised. These tensions are not accidental. They are the paradox that paves the way for a type of leadership that the world does not yet understand but will soon desperately need. The pain of perseverance has been a constant companion for Israel throughout its modern journey. This is not merely about surviving wars or navigating the complexities of international sanctions. It is an emotional and spiritual development that spans generations. Imagine a people who carry the heavy weight of ancient promises while facing the daily reality of being misunderstood, isolated, and maligned by the surrounding nations. This endurance is not born of simple human stubbornness alone. It is a refinement process intended to prepare a nation for a role that requires unimaginable strength. Through the fire of global isolation, a unique character is being forged. The emotional resilience required to stand firm when the rest of the world suggests you should fall is a testament to an inner strength that is clearly not entirely human. This leads us to the spirit of overcoming. Throughout history, the odds stacked against this nation have been mathematically impossible. From the very beginning, they have faced existential threats that would have erased any other culture from the history books. Yet, time and again, they emerge from the shadows of potential destruction. This is not just a story of survival. It is a vivid demonstration of divine backing. When the world looks at the history of overcoming, they are seeing a prototype of how divine strength operates in the midst of human weakness. Every time the antagonist of global skepticism predicts an end, a new and more vibrant beginning emerges. This resilience serves as a silent witness, a precursor to the moment when the nations will finally realize that this strength was never self-generated. It was a gift from the ancient promises that have never been forgotten by the one who made them. In the midst of this, we must address the concept of vengeance. In the biblical context, this is not the petty, hot-blooded revenge seen in human cinema or the angry retaliation of men. It is the unfolding of divine justice. It is the moment when the truth is finally vindicated and the lies are stripped away. For centuries, accusations and betrayals have been piled high against Israel, but the prophetic timeline speaks of a day when the scales will be balanced by a hand much higher than any human court. This justice serves to clear the path, removing the obstacles of propaganda and historical bias that have clouded the world's vision for so long. It is a necessary clearing of the stage so that the true identity of the protagonist can be revealed to all people. Furthermore, there is a profound revelation of interconnectedness that is beginning to surface in our modern age. The world is starting to realize that the destiny of all nations is inextricably linked to the path taken by Israel. This moves far beyond simple geopolitical interest or the price of energy. It is a spiritual and existential connection that ties the fate of the many to the journey of the few. When the central point of the world's spiritual gravity faces a crisis, the ripples are felt in every capital city on earth. This tethering of the nations to this single point of light is part of the divine design. It ensures that when the breakthrough finally comes, it will not be a local event but a global transformation. Every tribe, every language, and every nation has a stake in the outcome of this ancient narrative. As these elements converge, we are approaching a threshold of history. The tensions are at their peak, the perseverance has been tested to its limit, and the spirit of overcoming is ready for its greatest display. But there is something even more dramatic on the horizon. A specific biblical prophecy hints at a shocking universal event that will leave no room for doubt or debate. It is an event so massive and so undeniable that it will force every eye on the planet to turn toward the east. This coming moment will not just be a headline, it will be a confrontation with reality itself, an event that will finally reveal why the world will have no choice but to follow the light that is rising. The atmosphere of the entire planet shifts as the heavens themselves seem to open, revealing the ultimate fulfillment of what was written thousands of years ago. This is the pivotal event, the climax of history, where the ancient promises move from the realm of faith into the undeniable territory of sight. Imagine a moment so profound that every television screen, every digital device, and every human eye is fixed on the same point of geography. The world can no longer deny the divine designation of Israel. It is not an argument of history or a debate over borders anymore. It is a manifestation of the eternal. The skepticism that once clouded human judgment is burned away by a light so bright that it reaches into the deepest corners of the human heart. This event is the bridge between the old world of conflict and the new world of truth, a moment where the silence of the divine is replaced by a thunderous, undeniable presence. As the realization settles over the continents, a massive global shift begins to occur. This is the resolution the world has unknowingly craved. The nations that once stood in opposition, the voices that shouted in skepticism, and the leaders who plotted in secret now find themselves turning their attention and their allegiance toward the light emanating from Israel. This is not a surrender to a military superpower, nor is it a submission to economic pressure. It is a voluntary turning, a recognition that the source of life and order has finally been revealed. The ancient promise that the nations would flow toward the mountain of the house of the Lord is no longer a metaphor. It becomes a living, breathing reality. The hostility of centuries dissolves in an instant, replaced by a deep, collective desire to understand the truth that kept this nation standing against all odds. We see the fulfillment of the prophecy, where people from every language and every tribe reach out to connect with the spiritual source that has been preserved in Jerusalem. The meaning of leadership in this new era is completely redefined. While the world has always known leadership through the lens of earthly conquest and the exercise of power, the leadership of Israel is one of spiritual light and total redemption. They do not lead by the sword, but by the word. They do not rule by fear, but by the radiance of a divine presence that brings healing to the broken systems of the world. This is the ultimate redemption of the long journey of suffering and perseverance. The pain they endured becomes a wellspring of wisdom for all of humanity. In this moment, the nations learn that true authority is found in the service of the divine and the preservation of truth. The world is not being conquered. It is being guided out of the darkness of its own making, entering a state of existence where justice flows like a river and righteousness like a never-failing stream. In this atmosphere of transformation, we see the family of man finally reunited. The deep-seated tribalism and pride that fueled thousands of years of war are replaced by a sense of spiritual heritage. The nations acknowledge that the light they now enjoy has its origins in the heritage that flowed through Israel. There is a cosmic reconciliation that heals the ancient wounds of history. The world becomes a single, unified family, joined by a shared recognition of the Creator. This unity is the fruit of the ancient covenants, proving the plan was always about the restoration of all things, with Israel serving as the catalyst for the return of the world to its original purpose. At the center of this peace is an unwavering divine love. This love chose an ancient people and now embraces the whole world. The final revelation is that Israel held the flame until all were ready to be lit, bringing about an unprecedented era of peace and divine presence on our earth.